Hello and welcome to the channel. This is Recruit Painting, and in this video I'm going to show you how I painted the base for my US Firefly using a mixture of Citadel paints and paints from the Army Painter Historical World War II American set. To make the base, I first added some PVA glue and then dipped it in a pot of gravel that I've got. I then cut off some pieces of sprue to cut to size to look like pieces of girder, so it looks like the characters stood in amongst some rubble, and I think it turned out pretty good. So let's get to it. The first paint I used was Mechanicus Standard Grey by Citadel. This formed the base layer across the whole base. I tried to avoid the girders, but it didn't really matter, but I did avoid hitting the boot to ensure that none of that paint went on the actual model itself. So here I am just adding that layer of Mechanicus Standard Grey. So after that Mechanicus Standard Grey layer, I then added a layer of the steel by the Army Painter onto the girders, and then decided to see what the black tone wash would look like over the whole base, and I was really happy with the layer of depth that it added to the whole base itself, and it gave me a good base then to dry brush from. So after this step I then went on to the dry brushing. For the first layer of dry brushing, I used Dawnstone by Citadel. You can see I'm using quite a small dry brush, one that I picked up from ABC Brushes actually at Partisan. And I made sure that I was getting into all of those small areas and avoiding the girders, but not too worried if I hit the boots of the model or the trousers of the model either, because it just added a bit of dust effect to the character and kind of blends the model into the base itself. Then for the second layer I used Grey Seer, and that was a very light dry brush. That was just onto the kind of the peaks of the model, of the base, sorry. You can see I kind of did it a little bit off camera there and then realised. So just on those sort of peaks around those sorts of areas. I was really pleased with how that ended up looking. So here's a little closer look at how the base is looking now. You can see that those two dry brushes really kind of give it that depth that I'm looking for with the gravel and the rubble that the character has stood on. You can also see that the Dawnstone is, there's some of those elements of that pigment in the boots, so it really brings the whole model together. And then for the final step I wanted to try the rust that comes with the set. I was unfamiliar with the texture of the paint. I had no idea what I was going to be dealing with, so you can see that I tried it out on my hand a little bit beforehand. I do recommend doing that, particularly with the technical paints. And here I'm just picking out the areas that I imagine rust was gathered on those girders. The paint itself does have some bits in it, so it's got a bit of texture. And I think, you know, once it's all down, it did come out really, really nicely. And you can see there, just having a little look just before I painted the rim black, because I paint all of my rims black. And I'm really pleased with ultimately how the model turned out. And I look forward to painting more of these guys and painting the base in a similar way, so it looks like, you know, they're fighting in amongst destroyed cities of Europe. And here's a final look at the base itself. I'm really happy with how it turned out. The gravel really does give that rubble effect, and the addition of the sprues to look like girders, again with the steel paint and the rust effect, I think they do a really good job at looking like he's stood in amongst a destroyed building. If you enjoyed this video, please do think about liking and sharing and even subscribing. I do hope to make more videos like this in the future, and not just painting Konflikt 47 but other miniatures as well. So thanks for watching.